Welcome to part 14 of my N-scale 24 by 48 inch layout. This is a little different one of my part series. This one actually has to do with DCC, and I'm excited to say that I have now converted my layout to where it can either run DCC or DC. Simply by using these two switches here, I can switch from DC to DCC using my either my dual transformer, or I can use my new DCC controller. And that's where the DCC for $22 comes from. Basically, I've been researching going into DCC, and I mean, to be honest, it's pretty pricey. Looking at all the, even to get an entry level, you're looking at, close to $200. Well, I got to researching around, and I found this. It's called Sprague. This is actually a Sprague 2. They have a Sprague 3 version as well. But I found this Sprague 2 on eBay used for $22. That's what I bid and won on. Basically, it was for $22. I've seen them on there quite a bit for like $50, but this $22 one, it didn't have a power supply, it didn't have any cables, anything. All it was is the Sprague unit, and it did have the green plug for screwing on your terminals. Other than that, it was bone stock. But I'd done some research and figured out that, all the firmware and everything's for free out there on the internet, and that as long as the Sprague controller worked, I could convert. Not only does the Sprague give you the capability to program your locomotive to however you want it, you can even change FX sounds on it, you can change the volumes, you can change the function keys. To me, it actually gives me more than a handheld DCC controller. I have full control using my computer, as well as it is a DCC controller that I can control my my engine on, which I'll give you a little example here. Basically, this is the program I'm using. It's called Decoder Pro. And with this Decoder Pro program now, I'm not going to kid you, this 22 option was not probably the easiest way out of the box. I could tell you, like this Decoder Pro, which is freeware that you can get from the Sprague site. It was a bit of a bear for me to get running. It's got a kind of a learning curve. Probably, well, a couple things. I don't want to get too deep into that. If somebody really wants me to get into a in-depth explanation of the Sprague, I'd be happy to do a video on that. But for right now, we're kind of just going to give you an overview. But I did getting the drivers to install for the Sprague on Windows 10 was a bit of a challenge. You had to go into debug mode, and Windows 10 just didn't like the driver. It took a little work to get it in there, and then there's kind of a learning curve on actually using the program, how to pick out which DCC controller module you have to program it into the system. But there's some really cool stuff about the Decoder Pro. I mean, for one thing, as you can see here, the first DCC with sound locomotive I put in there is an Athearn F59PHI. It's my Pennsylvania one, and it's in scale, obviously, but it took a while. You have to go in and you have to identify it, and then you have to pull up a table. But I don't want to get too deep into that one. I more want to talk about the fact of I managed to get a $22 DCC system going. So anyway, after you get the whole system loaded and running, then you've got what you call throttle. And in conductor mode, you can use this throttle to not only test all your settings that you can set within the DCC system, but it also will control your trains on the track. Like I can hit bell. Well, wait. I have the system muted right now. Let me go ahead and bring the mute back up. And as you will hear, the volume will come back up. Hopefully you can hear that. That's the bell. I can go short horn. I can hit dynamic brake. Hit brake squeal. Hopefully you're hearing these, because I'm trying to kind of stay on this with you. But you can dim the lights. I mean, all the different cool things you can do to a DCC controlled train. Of course, this one has sound as well. So the FXs I have on it are F9, 10, 11, 12, and has to do with idle up and RPM of the motor, etc. But also you can do this. It's got a throttle control panel, and we'll go ahead and bring the throttle up and watch what happens. See, I'm now fully controlling. Sorry, I've got some stuff working on projects with building the layout as well. But as you can see, I'm controlling the train. We'll bring it around this time, and I'll turn on the headlight as she comes around. Just I missed the timing on that. Come back around again. But as you can see, I can do things like as I'm cruising along. It's getting dark. Gotta turn the lights on. They came to the lights on. Let's come by again. We'll give a short horn. How about a short horn right now? Ha. I just love it. It's really cool. Really makes a whole nother aspect in the running DCC. It gives you so much more control of the train, and it gives me really infinite control of the speed. And I can just hit stop. And as you can hear, the motor will go down, and then I can go into idle using this. And as you can hear, the engine will idle down to an idle. I can actually mute my sound as I just did there. But anyway, people that have DCCs kind of know all this stuff. I just kind of wanted to show you all the capabilities that I've managed to load with my $22 DCC controller. I think part 15 I'll probably go into explaining exactly how I did my my two switches on the panel there, where I can switch from DC to DCC. But anyway, I thought this was really cool, and you know, for a guy, you know, trying to watch his budget, I thought $22 for a DCC system was pretty awesome. But I enjoyed this part. I know it's kind of a off take from me laying out my track, but it is part of my whole building up this first setup, and part of that is as I had talked before, I wanted a DCC, so I now have a DCC system. And as you can see, it's a nice little small controller. It runs by a USB. You can tell I'm communicating right now. And I just double-sided taped it on there, and then I ran my wires underneath there, drilled them out and ran underneath there, and there's my two switches that control my DC to DCC, which if I show you that, I can actually try not to bounce around too much. I'll take the switch right here, which I know is track 2. The inner one's track 1, which I'm going to label these, and this is track 2. But I can go back here and flip this. Now I'm back into DC, and watch. Now I can control the train by my DC controller. Of course, the DC controller, I can't turn the lights on or off, and I can't honk the horn, I can't dim the lights. And it kind of limitates you on it, but you can still control it. And then I can go back here, flip the switch. Now I'm back into DCC. I think that's pretty cool. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe and support my channel. This is the TheElectronMan. All aboard.